Night, I thought my husband was acting weird. We had plans to meet at a nice restaurant for dinner. I'd been shopping with my friends all day and figured he was upset I was running a bit late, but he didn't say a word about it. The conversation was flat, so I suggested we go somewhere quiet to talk. He agreed, but still said very little. I asked him what was wrong. He said, nothing. I asked if it was my fault. He said, no, don't worry about it. On the way home, I told him I loved him. He smiled slightly and just kept driving. When we got home, he sat and watched TV silently. I felt like I'd lost him. He seemed so far away.
Eventually, I went to bed, feeling broken. About 15 minutes later, he came in and fell asleep right away. I lay there crying, convinced his thoughts were with someone else. My life felt like a disaster. His diary. A 2-feet putt. Who the hell misses a 2-feet putt? A Jewish man in 1930 sees his friend reading a well-known Nazi newspaper. Incredulous, he asks, "What are you doing reading that garbage?" "Well," his friend replied, "look at our city's Jewish newspaper. One article speaks about a pogrom, the next about rising anti-Semitism, the next about a vandalized synagogue, and it goes on and on. It's depressing." He continues, "What does it say in the Nazi newspapers? It talks about how the Jews are wealthy, how the Jews control all the banks and the press, how the Jews are clever and powerful. It's a real ego boost." 2 Jewish men walked past a Christian church with a sign in the window saying, $50 paid to new members. One of the men said he was going to go in and join. "But you're Jewish," his friend said. "Who am I to pass up a free $50? Said the man. So he went in and a short time later came back out. "Well, did you get the $50? His friend asked. The man replied, "Boy, it's all about money with you people, isn't it?" Dr. Fingal O'Reilly likes to have a little drink after work every now and then. So he walks into the Bearded Goose to chat with his friend Richard and have his usual. He walks in and greets his friend. "Hello, Dick." "Hello, Doc." "The usual?" "Yes, please." To Richard starts to make the usual drink for the good doctor, an almond daiquiri. He goes to the shelf to find there are no more almonds. So he makes a substitution and puts in a hickory nut instead. He delivers the drink to the doctor. He takes a sip. "Is this an almond daiquiri, Dick?" "No, it's a hickory daiquiri, Doc." A husband and wife were grocery shopping. He picks up a case of beer and puts it in the cart. "What are you doing?" asks the wife. "They're on sale. Only $10 for 24 cans. He replies. "Put them back. We can't afford them," demands the wife. They continue shopping. Later, she puts a $20 jar of face cream in the basket. "What are you doing?" asks the husband. "It's my face cream. It makes me look beautiful," replies the wife. He said, "So does 24 cans of beer, and it's half the price." A guy was in a bar drinking beer. He would finish his beer, pull out his wallet, and look at a picture of his wife. Keep it inside, order another beer, take out his wallet, and look at a picture of his wife. He did this several times. Finally, the bartender asks, after you finish a beer, "Why do you take out your wallet and look at a picture of your wife?" The guy says, "As soon as she starts looking good, I go home." A man wakes up one morning and farts. It sounds like Honda. This puzzles him, so he does it again. Honda. He makes an appointment with his doctor to get that checked out. When he demonstrates for the doctor, Honda, the doctor says, "Don't worry, I've seen this before. Go down the hall, 3 doors to the left, and see the dentist." "Dentist," says the man, "this has nothing to do with my teeth." The doctor says, "Trust me, I've seen this before." So the man goes down the hall and demonstrates for the dentist, Honda. The dentist says that he's seen this before and asks him to sit in the chair. He pulls a rotten tooth and shows it to the man. "Look, this tooth was rotten." The man farts again and it sounds perfectly normal. He says, "This is insane. How do you explain this?" The dentist looks him straight in the eye and tells him, "Abscess makes the fart go Honda." A man walks into the pub and the barman looks at him and says, "You okay, John? You looked really pissed off." "No," John replied. "I've had a guts full of my wife. All she does is spend money and nag me. I've had enough. If it wasn't for the cost, I'd divorce her." Barman says, "See that bloke sat in the corner? That's Arthur the hitman. he'll bump her off for you. That's a bit extreme, says John. Well, says the barman, it wouldn't hurt to find out. So John takes his pint and goes over to see Arthur. Hiya, says John. Barman says you might be able to help me out by bumping off my wife. Yeah, that's right, says Arthur. My name's Arthur, but my friends call me Artie the Hitman. How much would it cost? Asks John. £1, says Artie. £1, says John. That's a bit cheap, isn't it? Yes, I know, said Artie, but I get lots of work, so it balances out. Okay, said John, sliding his money across the table. I'll give you my address. No, that's too suspicious. Tell me where she works, and I'll do it there so you can't be implicated, said Artie. Good thinking, said John. She's 5'8", blonde curly hair, red hat, red and white striped apron, and she works at Tesco's supermarket. Okay, said Artie, consider it done. Next day, Artie walks into Tesco's, and in the bread aisle he sees a woman, 5'8", blonde curly hair, red hat, and red and white striped apron. Artie creeps up behind her, strangles her, and dumps her behind the shelves. As he's walking towards the exit, he sees another woman, 5'8", blonde curly hair, red hat, and red and white striped apron. Well, a deal's a deal, and he can't let a customer down. So to be sure, he creeps up behind her, strangles her, and dumps her behind the freezers. Then just as he's walking past the magazines, he sees another woman, 5'8", blonde curly hair, red hat, and red and white striped apron. So just to make sure, he creeps up behind her, strangles her, and dumps her behind the magazine racks before finally walking out of the door. Little did he know, this was all caught on CCTV, and as he walked out the door, the police were waiting for him and arrested him. The next day, the front page of every paper read artichokes 3 for £1 at Tesco's.
A man received the following text from his neighbor. I am so sorry, Bob. I've been riddled with guilt and I have to confess. I've been helping myself to your wife day and night when you're not around. In fact, more than you. I don't get it at home, but that's no excuse. I can no longer live with the guilt, and I hope you'll accept my sincerest apology with my promise that it won't ever happen again. Bob, in complete shock, didn't know what to do. A few moments later, a second text came in. Damn spell check. I meant Wi-Fi.
A long time ago, in a quaint little village, there was a yearly tradition. The people of the village, who were usually very polite and God-fearing, would for one day participate in a competition to see who was the best swearer. Once a year, everyone gathered in the village square to watch their fellow villagers go one by one on the little dais and try to come up with the most foul and creative curses in as flowing and natural a manner as possible. This year wasn't going so well, unfortunately. While some people were pretty creative, no one really impressed the village with their profanity. They'd heard variations of it all before. It was late in the afternoon, and all the promising talents had already gone up. It came time for lesser talents, and Pete was known to have some good swears on occasion. So he was called to step up. His name was called several times, but he wasn't answering. Eventually, after a few minutes, they heard the door to the outhouse slam, and Pete ran up to the stage. And as he arrived, he had already begun a flow of profanity, such nasty cursing, that everyone took a step back. He was jumping up and down and saying such things that even hardened, experienced old men recoiled in shock at this incredible tirade of pure verbal filth. Eventually, the flow of curses ebbed. The villagers all stared at him, amazed into silence. All right, said Pete with a grin. Got that darn zipper up. Now it's time for the swearing.